Okay, everybody, another impromptu live stream today. The last weekend, the connection was really bad. I seem to have a pretty good connection today. If I drop out during this, just hang on, it'll come back on. It is Saturday. It's about 10:30 in the morning here in Zhongshan, China. If you don't know, I have been in Zhongshan, China for 4 years now, and I have remained in China throughout the coronavirus outbreak. And one of the things, I woke up this morning and I got a lot of emails from friends back home in America, um, a lot more than usual. Asking questions, what's going on, what's going on in America, and it has prompted me to make this live stream today. In addition, and also some of the people that I've gotten emails from are people I haven't talked to in years, and it's wonderful. It's great to reconnect with some of these people. I haven't answered all the emails yet, but I hope to in the today. Since I'm staying home today, today is one of those days where I am not allowed to leave the campus. I am still on restrictive travel, meaning I can leave the my college campus once every other day for a couple of hours. Um, I was out yesterday. I'll talk about that in a second. But today, I am staying home. It's Saturday. I had a nice big breakfast. I'm gonna do some cleaning, some laundry, and just generally relax today. It's kind of a they're talking about maybe a little rain, and then tomorrow I've got big plans to go out and enjoy a beautiful Sunday. Hopefully, we'll see. As far as me being isolated on the campus, that's no longer the case, which is kind of a bummer. I'll be honest with you. I've really gotten used to the peace and quiet around here, and having a run of the campus all to myself for the last 2 months. There is a another teacher who has moved onto the campus. I think he's a math teacher. He lives in the apartment directly above me, and he doesn't speak English, and my Chinese is not very good, so we don't communicate very much. But we're very friendly with each other. And he has two little boys. I don't think his wife is with him, but he does have two children. One's about 6, the other one's about 10 years old, and they are rambunctious on the campus, and they are under the same restrictions as me, from what I know. I haven't gotten any confirmation from anybody on that. But you see the children, the two kids, riding their bike out in the parking lot and stuff, and now I have another person to help me feed the cats. In addition, the administrators, my where I live is on top of the hill of the campus, which is kind of separated by a couple of roadblocks from the main entrance and the administrative offices of the campus. And many of the administrators are back to work. They come onto the campus, but they don't come up to the upper campus where the classrooms and the dormitories and where my apartment is. They stay down in the administrative office, and they are having meetings, doing business. I guess I'm not quite sure, but I do know that payroll was processed, so I had to wait a couple months, but I did finally get my salary, my full salary, as did every other faculty member in person here at the college. So I know that relieved a lot of stress for many, many people. I'm drinking it's not a tea, it's hot water. Ancient Chinese secret, always drink hot water, right? But it's got that, if you watch my videos, it's got that Joe kind of immune booster in there. It's delicious and supposed to be very good for you. I have gained weight. Hi, everybody. Let's see. Online teaching. No, I am not. There's, I think it's a little overrated. Hi from Oklahoma. Very cool. I love Oklahoma. Kansas. Hello, neighbor. Great. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching. I know there's been a lot of live streams coming out of China lately, and it's just something I like to do. Share my thoughts and meet all of you guys. I have gained a lot of weight. So uh, I got tired of running around that track, and I kind of have not been doing it, and I miss my gym. And I talked to some of the not the owners, but the trainers at the gyms, and they don't know when the gyms are going to be reopened. There's been some reports that life in China has gone back to normal. It has not. It is far from normal here. It is still heavily controlled in many, many, many ways. It is better than it was a couple of weeks ago. That's obvious. But a couple of weeks ago, people were literally locked in their homes and weren't allowed to leave their communities. They were actually denied the freedom of travel, and businesses could not open. No businesses could open. Everything was forced to close. That is the measures that were, for instance, this week, I'm happy to report that the restaurants here in Zhongshan have been allowed to reopen, uh, which is great. I went out to dinner the other night. However, if you go walk down the street or go to a mall, I'd say about maybe a third of the restaurants are doing dine-in services, and they're only allowed to have that's tables have to be spaced apart. You're not allowed to eat next to other people. Um, and the another third of the restaurants are still takeout only, and then the last third of the restaurants are just completely shut down. They haven't reopened at all. They're just dark. And those dark restaurants, when you walk through the upper floors of the malls or walk down the street, there's a very foul smell coming from them because nobody's been in there, nobody's cleaned these restaurants. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And I know that there's a rodent problem in a couple of these places. They left food out or they didn't, keep the refrigerator on. That is becoming a problem. So if you're going to dinner or to lunch in a restaurant in a mall, you have to walk by a couple of really nasty, kind of smelly areas in order to get there. Hold on. All right. Yesterday I went to morning tea here in Zhongshan, and in Guangdong, morning tea it's similar to what Westerners might call brunch. It's some dim sum, it's a lot of bread, tea. It's in a very large room with large, TV, and it's a communal thing. And I noticed that all the tables were spaced apart quite a bit, but it was wonderful just to go out and enjoy some high quality dim sum. It's like $10 a person, and we it was just nice to have that little bit of normalcy. And I took a little bit of video, but not enough to make like an actual YouTube video about it. But I actually I had to run a bunch of errands, including going to the bank. And I was in the bank, and I looked there and I noticed my favorite coffee shop was open. So I was like, "Oh my god, I want a cup of coffee!" And I don't want to go Starbucks coffee. I want to go to my coffee shop, sit in a comfortable chair, play with my phone and chat with people. And unfortunately, I was the only one in the coffee shop. And when I went in there, I still had to take my temperature. I still have to wear a mask, except for when I drink, of course. And uh, I have to register, like write down my phone number and my name and all this kind of stuff in order to order a cup of coffee. But hey, little by little, I'll take it. And I enjoyed a very nice cup of Joe. I sat there for about an hour just enjoying it. The little things, it was great. I'll tell you about some other experiences I had here in a little bit. Let's go back to this. Hi from Tianjin. Get ready, Tianjin. I want to visit that city. Tianjin, excuse me. I believe it's one of the tier 1 cities here in China, and I think it's got a bad reputation, or not a bad reputation, but nobody really knows about it. They know about Beijing, but I would love to go there and explore some of the history there. It seems rather unknown, and I like unknown history. Hello from local. Great. What do you mean local? Where are you? Yes, there is in the news, China going back to work. I'll talk about that in a second here, John. Well, I might as well talk about it now. China going back to work. The factories, most of them have reopened. However, there are no orders for there are no new orders. It's very, very slow. I met a guy the other day. He owns a factory, and he's been here in Zhongshan for 17 years. And first for him, and he's trying to move his production to Malaysia because he doesn't believe in it anymore, and it was really sad to hear him say that. So that's one thing. I have friends of mine who are students who are foreign foreign sales and things like this. And yes, they are back to work and they're trying very hard to get things back to normal, but there are no new orders coming in, and that's hitting everyone pretty hard here in my district, in the district which is a high tech manufacturing area. Uh, I went to Gujin and I looked around the lighting showrooms. If you saw that video, I did not go into any of the factories. I haven't heard how their business is being affected by all of this, but I do know that just walking around, there are no foreigners left here in Zhongshan. The only foreigners I know of that are here are married with families. A couple of other ones that are just waiting it out, like me. But the vast majority of people have left. We'll talk about that as well. I heard the news virus outbreak in U.S. right now. Yeah, it's been there a long time. The virus outbreak in America has kind of upset me. I'm very sad about it. It's embarrassing. They've known about it for a long, long time. It's always been there, but they've kind of been a little slow. The testing thing is what's really is. There's an unknown factor, and that unknown factor is what feeds that fin. This is going to be serious. It's going to be big. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Don't be complacent. Take calculated risks in your everyday life, but don't forget to live your life. And I got a lot of flack for that. But it's how I feel and how I continue to feel. And someone asked me recently, Paul, would you rather deal with the coronavirus in China or in America? Only factor of the coronavirus. I would choose America 6 days a week and twice on Sunday, right? Because, I would have, first of all, I'd have my family support, I'd have a comfortability of just, being home, I guess, but also freedom of movement and freedom to make decisions for myself, where all that has been taken away from us in China. And that's what it means by lockdown in China. It's not the same as the quarantine area in New York. They have this containment area in New Rochelle, New York. And I said, well, what does that mean? I was really shocked to see pictures of the National Guard out there, but where they were giving food, they weren't policing the streets and doing blockades and forcing people to stay home. Everything's just merely a suggestion, and Americans are still responsible to make their own decisions. And that's kind of within our culture. And I'm an American, and that's kind of my culture too. So I'm very thankful to be in China during this time. I mean, I think it's a wonderful experience, and I'm happy to have gone through this and continue to go through it with my Chinese friends here. And it just adds a different perspective on life a little bit. I got a lot of, you guys are commenting a lot. Hold on a sec. Okay. Is the food more expensive or scarce? No, the food is the same. It's in fact, you get a lot of discounts because restaurants are happy for your business. So you'll get like a friend of mine has a pizzeria here, and he's offering free sodas and corn dogs if you order a pizza. And oftentimes when I have gone and order takeout, they will add, here's some extra things for you. Thank you for your business. Tell your friends, so they're very happy to have you here. The food is not more expensive. The supermarket food is the same. The pork prices have gone through the roof, but that was happening before the virus. So now pork is actually more expensive than beef, which is really, really interesting. But that was mostly because they had this pork cull going on in the country. So they've had a problem with that long before the virus. But no, the prices are all the same. Our people know 5 cases in my area. I'm sorry to hear that, man. It'll get bigger, but don't worry about it. Take care of yourself, take care of your family. Do what's best for you. If you think that staying home is what's best for you, do that. Are people no longer panicking in China? There has been a great shift in perception here from what I have seen. Now, it might be different in northern China, it might be different in other cities, but from my circle of friends here in my city in Zhongshan, which is in Guangdong province, it's between Guangzhou and Macau. I'm right in the heart of the Pearl River Delta. Most people don't know where Zhongshan is, but it's a city of 3.5 million people, heavy manufacturing city. It's not a touristy town, and it's on the west side of the Pearl River Delta, across the bay from Hong Kong and Shenzhen. I'm just a short little ferry ride, about half hour, 45 minutes across the bay to those cities. And my students, my circle of friends, all the people that I have come in contact with, they have not panicking at all. They're kind of, you know, raising their fist saying we beat this. There a lot of them are saying that China is the safest place on earth right now. I keep telling him, no, 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 that's really not the case. I try to create more of a gray area, I guess, when with regards to this stuff. Uh, I have seen a lot of rhetoric on WeChat and in group chats about mostly about America's response to this compared to China's response. There's an awful lot of nationalistic pride for the Chinese people, and that's deservingly so. I'm happy to see that, and it's great to see you know my friends be proud of their country, and because they've endured an awful lot and they're still enduring it, guys. This is not over in China. They understand that the economy is not up to speed. Their lives are still heavily restricted and heavily affected by what's going on throughout the world. Everyone knows that. Okay. But they are in much higher spirits now than they were 2 months ago. Strange going to stores and seeing empty shelves. I'm very sad to hear that. I think it's stupid. Why are you panic buying toilet paper? Of all the things to panic buy. I mean, and in America, you can drink from the tap in most cities. I know there's some places you can. Um, Canned food is, I mean, I grew up in Southern California where we always prepared for, the big earthquake. So we always had extra food and preparations and, and batteries for the flashlights and things to take care of ourselves if something like that were to happen. So to me, that was always part of our life. I mean, they're very optimistic and very positive thinking, and they don't want to go down to Costco right now. They know better. They're just going to stay home and relax. If they have to go to the supermarket to get some fresh vegetables or fruit, they'll do that. But they're not getting in fights in the aisles over toilet paper. Buy a bum squirter. If you go to Japan, they have the Japanese toilet seats, which are extremely popular here. There are people who go to Japan, buy them, and bring them back to China and sell them for a huge profit. Those Japanese toilet seats are very popular here, if you can get them, and they're very expensive here. But all you need is a bum squirter, one that you screw into the water, to the water feeder of your toilet, and you shoot your butt, to clean your butt. You see that all throughout. Saw that all throughout Vietnam. It's very simple, and it's it's more hygienic and cleaner. you know just get one of those. I mean, I don't understand. Trevor Noah made this point. Oh my god, I have to how am I going to clean my butt in this little tiny room that has a shower? So, the toilet paper thing is funny to me. I'm sorry, I got a lot of comments here. I'll go through. And I have other things I want to talk about here too, guys. But I want to get to your comments because I love having these conversations with you guys. It's what makes this so much fun for me, and I appreciate you guys commenting and watching my videos. Thank you for that. I have no new videos to post. I have a little bit of video that I took the last couple of days. Tomorrow I'll do some more videos, but there's not much for me to do around here. I can't even go hiking. So. I wish people here wore masks instead of shaming people wearing masks. Are they shaming people for wearing a mask in America? I mean, are they going on to how dare you wear a mask? I mean, are they really doing that? I can't imagine them doing that. And Tianjin is pseudo tier 1 city. Interesting. China 2 new confirmed cases who were from America. Yeah, they're really concerned, and they should be, about importing new cases, and that's been happening. They're reporting on it. They do it in detail when you see the news reports. They say, okay, he took this flight. This flight number had 29 people on that flight, and all those people have been contacted and being monitored. Then at this time, they had a coffee, and then before they got on this bus and transferred to this bus station where they took this particular DD ride to their home, and then they took out the trash. All of these areas, they do really good, tracking of these folks and making sure. So the two that happened, there was a mother and a daughter, both Chinese, who were coming from Spain, I guess, somewhere in Europe, and they tracked them all the way through. They were very open about it, and they sanitized, and all the people they came in contact with, which were very few, are being monitored. And that's the way to do it. That's the way they're going to have to do it more surgically, rather than, oh my God, we got 2 imported cases. Let's shut down the entire economy of 1 billion people. So that's the proper way to do it. What's up, Stephen Ari? Anti-China sentiment. He seems suddenly down on China. Steve's a friend of mine. I just like many YouTubers out there I watch. I don't agree with everybody, but that's okay. I don't agree with my best friend. I don't agree with my father ways. And Steve is a very good English teacher, and he's hypersensitive to the situations when it comes to the ESL community. That's his thing. And you should listen to him when it comes to what's going on in the ESL community. Here in China, Japan, he went to Thailand and he tried to get a couple jobs. But he's got a different set of priorities. He's been down on China being boring, and for some people that could be the case. I totally see that, and I see for a guy like him, yeah, it probably would be boring for him. For me, I'm a little bit older. I'm not an exciting guy. I don't go to nightclubs, and I don't really, drink and party and want that kind of nightlife. I'm more of a quiet kind of nature lover, hiker kind of guy. A lot more, what's the word? Introverted, I guess. So for me, China fits what I like. And I can always find something to do, even though I am a little bit bored myself here now because everything is shut down. I also know that Steve, I was shocked that he came to China because he has such a what do I call it? He loves Japanese culture, and he's a big fan of Japan. And I knew immediately that when he left China that he would end up in Japan. And so I wish him the best, man. I really do. I hope he does well, and he will. He's a smart guy. He'll get it done. Okay, I'm sorry. Got a lot of comments. Thank you, everybody. I'm trying to get to them all. This was great. I actually prepared a lot of things to talk about, but you guys are hitting them all right now. Hey, man, hope you're doing well. Your videos helped me make the jump to Shanghai last summer. James, thank you. I hope that you enjoy Shanghai. I was only in Shanghai for like 3 days, and I loved it. What an amazing international city that is. It is an incredible place. So much history there. So much interesting history. And I hope you really, really enjoy. I hope to go back there. I recently made a friend who was visiting some family here in Zhongshan, and he just left. He went back to Shanghai, and I hope to reconnect with him when I get back up there, because it sounds like, when I was only there for the 3 days, I only scratched the surface of what I could see. I went to Disneyland for one of those days, so it doesn't really count. But I hope to see more of what Shanghai is all about. Pigs are more expensive because they burned most of them. That's right, yeah. Do you think the policy of Chinese government got satisfied by people? Definitely. I believe that the Chinese people are very happy and very um, proud of their government and how the government worked. I mean, nothing is perfect. They'll be the first to admit that the response wasn't 100% perfect, but it's a crisis. You know, it's crisis management. You know, then some things might have been slow to react, some things might have been overreact. They'll tell you that, but overall, I I don't, and I agree. I don't think that the government had nothing but the best interests of the people in mind when they made these decisions and took the steps that they did. And for the most part, what I hear is a lot of pride in and and faith in the government and the country as a whole. And it's not just the government, but the people as a whole, and how the people came together here to fight this virus. And when I mean fight, meaning really sacrifice their lives and their livelihoods um, in order to improve the situation. And they deservingly should be proud about that. It's not over yet, though. That's one concern I do have. I think there's an awful lot of people here who are, thinking it's over, it's done, we've defeated it, and we need to go about our lives again. I do think that things need to open up a little bit, but we need to continue to be vigilant, continue to have a lot of monitoring, and just be aware of going on. This doesn't mean you stop washing your hands after you use the restroom. Uh, you know, um, Wearing a mask in public, fine. I'm fine with that. That probably a good idea. I see hand sanitizer everywhere. There's soap in all the public restrooms. So I a lot of good has come out. A lot of lessons have been learned from this. I just hope that they don't get complacent, backtrack from that. And I don't see that happening, but I'm fearful. I don't want that to happen. So that's for you, the local here. Professor, I hope all is well. Yes, Mason, thank you. Hope everything is very, very well. I moved to Shanghai in September and I was away for the break. Just got back to the mainland and I've started my 14-day quarantine. Any tips to get through these next couple of weeks? Yeah, relax, eat well, enjoy the time, prepare for your classes. If you're a teacher, if you're a worker, prepare for whatever. Enjoy it. It'll go by really fast. It sucks when you're in it, but when it's all said and done, you're like, well, that wasn't so bad. I've been here for 2 months and it hasn't been that bad. Do you think policy of Chinese? All right. Why U.S. always blame China on COVID-19? Well, I think some people are ignorant. I think it's stupid to be pointing fingers. You're seeing this from China to America now too, which is a very real thing. I don't think anyone should blame a country or people for viruses. I know a lot of people want to do that. It's nature, guys. It's nature. This happens all around the world. And I saw some ignorant rant of some dude in LA was saying, "Oh, and they all come from China." That's bullshit. Many of them come from South America. Many of them come from Africa. Many of them come from America. The viruses happen all over the place. It's just nature, and it's stupid to point at one people and say it's your fault, their fault. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the news about changing the rhetoric and China trying to say that this originated in America. And that is another conspiracy theory similar to the same thing. This was, I mean, when it first started here, a lot of people said this was a Chinese government, biological warfare thing, escape from a lab. That's another bullshit conspiracy theory. Why can't it just be nature? This has happened and we're something that we're doing. This going back and forth is really stupid. And I see it all over WeChat right now and people pushing these narratives. And I jump in immediately and say, come on, this is really stupid. Just like Americans were stupid for saying the stupid things that they were saying 2 months ago. And for the most part, people say, yeah, we do believe it started in China. This is something that people are bringing up, and there's a what if factor. It's lame. And that goes, I don't care what it's called either. You can, if you want to call it the Wuhan coronavirus, I don't care. It doesn't make any sense. COVID-19 is the name that it's been given. Call it that, coronavirus. But there's six or seven other coronaviruses out there. It doesn't matter what it's called. Okay, it doesn't. Viruses don't have to be called or named after the place that they started. it doesn't make any difference. I think that whole argument is stupid. Let's see. B or a quick rinse and shower. Yeah, just I've done that. you, of course, you got to clean yourself some way. Let's see. Desperado. What China has been doing is simple. Totally breaks this net into pieces. Isolation of individuals. They ask people. I mean, obviously, isolation, quarantine is the quickest way to get rid of a virus, and then they took it to an extreme measure. You're saying that in Italy now to some extent, but it's not the same in Italy. People in those areas can still leave the house if they want. Here in China, you were not allowed to leave your house or your community. Um, you had to get permission. Uh, for my city, it was once every 3 days. You can go out for a couple hours. One person from the family, and the only place because everything was closed, the only place to go was the supermarket. So it was a much different situation here in China than what you're saying in Italy and in America. I was just looking at bum guns and bidet toilet seats on Amazon today. Great idea. I think this is something that should be adopted throughout the world. When I went to Vietnam and I saw bum squirters and even these roadside little cafes that I stopped at, I was like, this should be in every public restroom in the world, and I tripped out on the technology that I saw in Tokyo. Why America hasn't come up with the bidet bum squirter culture, I don't know. I can definitely see it. There's a demand for it in China. People know about it in China, especially people who travel to other countries and they bring it back. Most of my friends have the Japanese toilets in their homes, but public restrooms and malls and restaurants and stuff don't have these things. And they have the Asian squat toilets, which are more hygienic for your body. But when it comes to the virus, because the virus can live in fecal matter and it basically is just a hole in the ground that you flush, it can spread that way. So I don't use those restrooms anymore. I only use a Western toilet, which you do find, and oftentimes, you go to especially the high end malls, you'll have Western toilets and Asian toilets. You use the Western toilets, or you go into the lobby restroom of a very nice hotel if you're out and about. I try not to use the squat toilets in this time because it's an easy way to transmit those diseases, and that's mostly because of the lid. When you use a Western toilet, you close the lid, right? Hopefully, it kind of defeats the purpose of a lid, right? So you add that with a bum squirter, and things will be much better here. Those infected individuals are not able to form the infectious chains. Nets not able to transmit itself. Next person hosts. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong. Since this virus's average lifespan 37 days or so in humans, hosts, eventually it'll gradually die out. That's what most people say. I've been following, many of you guys suggested I follow this Dr. John Campbell, who is very dry in his approach, but I love his videos. It breaks it down very, very interesting. And that's what he's kind of saying. He talks about, what's it called? Herd immunity, I guess, is one of the terms he uses. And he's got a very simplified way of explaining these things. He's gotten very popular on YouTube. Watch him. You get a very good understanding of what's going on. First, CCP tried to blame U.S., then tried to blame Italy, now back to blame the U.S. Seriously, CCP, just take responsibility. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm already commented. I'm over it. Everyone's blaming each other, and that's really stupid. For these people to be blaming this person to be blaming this person. My country's doing it. China is doing it. The world is doing it. YouTubers are doing it. I think it's stupid. It doesn't accomplish anything other than make things more difficult. It just